Alright guys, we're going to be doing a little water repair damage on this camp trailer. I believe it's a Prowler, 19-foot Prowler light. Took this front shroud off of the propane tanks. You can feel that it's just rotted in there. It's my brother-in-law's camper. He noticed the water coming in here. I mean, this is just like a sponge, this whole front. So it feels like the further you get up, it gets solid. So I'll open this up. Hopefully we won't have to get into this. It's like either a bunk, a kid's bunk, or you can push this up for a storage. Hopefully we won't have to get in there, but we'll see. Like, all this feels solid. I believe it was just leaking right here along this, and then once it gets in there, that plywood's gonna suck that shit up. Might have had a little bit of window leakage. I'm not real sure. These covers do a pretty good job of keeping the weather off them windows, but probably obviously gonna be peeling the inside, most likely peeling some of this siding up. So I only got about a half hour daylight left, so I'm just gonna try to bust through some of this demo, and probably be a couple days before I can get back on it, but that is what we will do. I'll get my camera rolling when I get back on it. It's kind of raining now, so yeah, just thought I'd give you guys a quick starter, and then we'll get you guys back on the camera here in a little bit. Alright guys, so got a couple pieces of siding off. I took the corner molding off that you've seen before. This stuff in these channels is just so rotted that it's just breaking off. So I'll have to strip that back up. And basically that's just, well, it's covering the screw heads also to keep the weather out of the screw holes. So I'll follow that back up and possibly do the whole thing. I'm not sure yet, but so I popped the screws. This piece of siding, this bottom one, was stapled at the bottom up there. It just fell off because all this wood's rotted. So these ones are just stapled here. So I just took my pliers and just pried them up, and this piece of wood still ain't bad. It is a little rotted right there, but as you can see all around the window, then it has this just a real thin, like 1/4 inch of insulation. So I just cut that just about a 1/4 inch below. I mean, this shit, I mean, it all does a little bit, but these campers are not, you know, insulated well. The walls just are not thick enough to get a good R value in them. So I just took that off, and you know, it's not bad. This stuff isn't going to soak up any water, so you might as well just keep it, because I've never seen 1/4 inch rigid insulation. So usually the thinnest you can get it in is half. So obviously this is the inside wall right here. So you have maybe 1 1/4 inches here. And hopefully you can see it's rotted up there. So I am gonna have to pull that next one. I'm not gonna do that yet because these supports for this cover are hooked to that next piece. So I'm gonna wait till I have a little bit more time, and I don't want to completely open this thing up while it's out here on the street, but yeah. So I'm gonna dig a little bit more, and I ain't gonna have but 10 minutes, so I'll catch you guys when I get back on this project. All right, guys, so we got 2 more little pieces of siding taken off, and it looks like we're out of the rot here. So this is the tricky part, because this board would go all the way to wherever they have the other cross member, like this one on top. So wherever that is, probably at the start of that roll. So that's what you have to decide. What I'm gonna do is cut it somewhere right here. And then I'll get everything in, and then I'll see how solid it is. If you need to put some L brackets, some 90 metal L brackets, some places, do that. If you need to scab another board on the side of this splice, probably is not a bad idea. Get some good screws going this way in it. You know, they're not built like a house, that's for sure. And there's just not enough room to build them super solid, you know. You can build them sturdy, but that's about all it's going to be. And I've done a few of these, so I've seen it all. Well, I haven't seen it all, that's for damn sure, but I've seen quite a bit. So what I'm going to do now, instead of tearing all this out and kind of having to rely on your pictures, what I like to do is just kind of go piece by piece. So this is obviously going to come out, but it can stay right now. So I'm going to get this skeleton reframed. I'm going to cut the pieces I want out. I'm going to cut them out and replace them. And then I'll go inside, or you could probably do a lot of it from out here too, and start taking this out where you want it. So we still got a little bit of rainy skies, so I chose to leave this little window awning on since I have the window out. I don't want it to be pouring rain inside, so I'm gonna try to hurry up and get this done and maybe even get this siding back on today. So we'll get after it here. And this was the majority of the rot. I can't really tell. I want to say there was some window leakage also, because you see that awning, that track stops right at the edge of the window almost, so the water's probably coming right down and just hammering this side of this. So, and you have to remember that with all this pulling a camper, there's a lot of movement, you know, especially going in the mountains. And even down the highway, there's a lot of movement. So you have to check the sealant every year. Unless you're going to keep it undercover year round, you have to check that sealant. And you should anyways, you know. But that's the best. If you can, store them undercover, because sitting out in the weather and the elements, you're going to have problems. It's not a matter of if, it's when, because it just happens. That's the way it is. So anyhow, we'll get started on this. And like on this side, don't have too much damage. I have a little bit right here, which I probably just take it up to here or so. And then this was from the water pump leaking. The water pump sits right in that hole there, and the water pump went out, or leaked, or froze probably is what really happened. That's what usually happens with them. So you can see we got some shit going on there, which, you know, sometimes it's better. I'm not telling you what to do, but in my experience, you know, if you don't have significant mold, if it's just rot, take the bad stuff out. If it's like this plywood, it's like, oh God, you know, that's bad. So if you can, if you have the room, sometimes it's better just to put something over it, seal it, go inside, reskin it over it, and leave that substructure there, because these are built just like, you know, they're kind of intertwined, everything together. So it can save you a lot of headache if you can do that. You know, I'm not telling you to leave moldy shit in your trailer, but if you can get the mold out, and if it's just like this, is just delaminated, you know, it has no strength to it, but if you could come all the way up here and maybe over to here and restructure that, and then go inside just for looks and reskin it, it'll save you a lot of headache. Because you get gung-ho and you're like, I did this on one. You get gung-ho and you're like, I'm taking every bit of rot out, this, that, and the other, and you end up with a effing mess is what you end up with. So just some thought if you guys are tackling some yourself. And sometimes it is better to take it all apart, but it's just kind of varies case by case. So you kind of got to make that judgment call for yourself and your own project. Anyways, I'm gonna quit yabbing here and get going. Alright guys, so we got that upper part rebuilt. Took all that paneling off inside there. And now I tore that little shelf out that was here. And then the part that I said I wasn't going to rip out, because once I got the shelf out, I was able to see that it was pretty rotted on that back side of that, and it was just really falling apart. So like I said, you usually open a can of worms up. In this corner there was just a thin sheet of plywood over this, and I took it out and all this shit just fell out. I mean, it is just, it's pretty bad right here in this corner. So haven't decided what we're gonna do there yet. My thought right now is just cut a piece of plywood and paint it with a good exterior paint so it'll resist the water. And throw it in there and be done with it, because I don't think we want to start getting into all that. I mean, you can even see right here some of the floor is gone too. I'm sure if you got back, this is what they put underneath so the rats and shit don't get up in there and chew that insulation, but just by pushing on it, my guess is that it's pretty rotted. That obviously would entail a lot more work. I may pull this one. I'm not positive. So right now, this is staying. I'm gonna put that 2x back on this, like this. This is a 3/4 by 2 1/4, and then just this upper piece right here on it. So we'll do that right now, and then one goes right here for support on the other side of the shelf, and then we'll figure out where we're gonna go from there. Alright guys, we're just painting this wood. I've really been liking this stuff. I'm gonna have to find see if the wood, like a good oil-based wood paint, is any cheaper. Like I said, I don't know if this is only for metal, but it's like a rubberized coating. But man, it sure sticks to wood too. Which I'm not surprised, because a lot of wood is more porous than metal, most metal. But man, this shit is like thick ass honey. It is hard to paint on. And the funny thing about it, well, it's not really funny, but as thick as it goes on, you give it about an hour, you go back out and you'll see some runs in it. which is just amazing for how thick it is. But man, does this stuff stick, and it stinks. Definitely want to be outside or have a mask on. This is I had about 3/4 of a quart. I've used about a half a quart so far, and I'm just about done. But yeah, this is some good stuff here. This is, not sure. I think it's Duplicolor or some shit like that, but it's some good stuff. I used it to paint some railings I built, is why I had it in the first place. And then had about 1.5 quarts left over. So I was gonna take it back, and I just put it on the shelf, figured I'd use it, and by golly, I've been using it. If I can stop getting it on everything. Usually the rule of thumb is the worse it smells, the better it is, for some dang reason. Every time I use it, I forget how hard it is to brush, and well, I guess I take that back. It is hard to brush, but it's no easier to roll. I was gonna say it would have been easier to roll this, but I did roll most of that railing that I built, and it wasn't any easier to roll. Last little bit here, and this sucker should be sealed up. Try to keep that from running. But it's kind of windy tonight, so it is skimming over. But you can see a couple, it almost looks worse on camera, but it ain't bad. All this is going to be covered up anyways, so all we're looking for is a good water protection, because these wraparound things that go right here, they actually have a net, so you can store light stuff in here, so it's not completely sealed up. And then of course they never seal the bottom of these because of the propane bottles, so there is a chance of water getting in there. But I think we got her good. So we'll go ahead and clean our brush, and that will be it for the night. Got our siding back on. We gotta scrape this crap off these trim pieces underneath that, what do they call that? Butyl tape. Have to do that, screw them down. Get our screw protector cover weather shield in there. Gotta clean all this crap off. Get our front pieces cleaned off, put them back on, seal everything up. And then we will go on the inside. That's what it needs to be. Huh. Throw it a little bit.